Well, this is a terrifying thought. Frieza combined with Venom. If this happened on Namek, even Goku with Super Saiyan wouldn't have been able to stop this thing. Because due to the Venom symbiote, any damage Goku would do would be healed faster than Goku could inflict it. And good luck trying to hurt Frieza with any physical attacks. Trying to cause lasting damage to a symbiote with pure brute strength is about as effective as trying to punch the ocean. And if this happened with current Frieza, literally the only two options of defeating him would be something erasing him, whether it be Zeno or the Destroyers, or who knows, maybe Goku and Vegeta can both use the Hakai by then. Either that or they fuse into either Gogeta or Vegito and try to vaporize him with their full power. Besides that, the only other way I think they'd be able to stop him is the evil containment wave. Well, I'm not sleeping tonight. The fusion of Carnage and Iron Man. Honestly, the most terrifying part about this fusion is that not only would he possess the psychotic mentality and insane bloodlust of Carnage, but also would possess the incredible intelligence of Tony Stark. Basically giving us a Batman who laughs except for Marvel, while also possessing all the powers of the Carnage symbiote and all the incredible technology of Tony Stark. It's a good thing TikTok added this 3-minute feature because I'm definitely going to need it to cover all of this. Firstly, just so you know what this is the Ginyu Force fused with the Sound 5. So without further ado, let's start covering them. I really suck at saying Naruto character names, so please don't flame me in the comments. First thing we're covering is Jirobu fused with Goldo, the green one. Jirobu is the tank and physical powerhouse of the Sound 5. He tends to fight up close and personal, and doesn't tend to rely on jutsu and more so on his brute strength. You combine that with Goldo's telekinesis and time stop, and that fusion is going to work pretty much the same as Star Platinum from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. He'd be able to freeze you in place and then beat the crap out of you until he needs to breathe again. This next one's going to be pretty easy to cover. Kidomaru fused with Birder. Kidomaru is pretty much a discount Spider-Man, except taken quite literally. And Birder is the speedster of the Ginyu Force. So that's literally it. He's basically Spider-Man with super speed. Next we've got Kimimaro and Ginyu. This fusion would be capable of freely manipulating his bones throughout his body at will, and if his bones were to get damaged, he could simply regenerate them. And if his opponent does more damage than he's capable of healing, his powers from Ginyu can simply let him swap bodies so that he could use his opponent's advantage in strength to get a massive advantage in battle. Not to mention the new person that's now in his old body wouldn't know how to use Kimimaru's powers, so any injury that hasn't been healed would remain injured since they don't know how to use Kimimaru's powers. Next we've got Sakon and Yukon fused with Rikum. Firstly, the brothers have the ability to merge with each other or with their opponents. And if they merge with their opponents, they can slowly kill them from the inside, poisoning them. And while that's going on, they could use Rikum's physical strength to beat down on them so they could deal extra damage. Finally, we're on to Taiyuyu and Jace. Taiyuyu has the ability to put you under a genjutsu if you hear the melody of her flute. If you factor in that one of Jace's characteristics is being incredibly precise and accurate, it would allow this fusion to be able to put their opponent under a genjutsu almost every time they tried. Phew, that was a lot to cover. Now this is one hell of a fusion. The fusion of Noelle from Black Clover and Urza from Fairy Tail. Firstly, god damn this art looks good. Secondly, this fusion is incredibly dangerous to deal with. Firstly, this fusion possesses the incredibly powerful water magic that Noelle possesses, and if we factor in the manga, it is incredibly versatile. You combine that with the incredible arsenal that Urza has of both weapons and armor, and her incredible physical strength and skill with those weapons, this fusion would be dangerous at close, mid, and long-range combat. Short and mid-range combat because of Urza's influence, and long-range because of Noelle's water magic. Also, could you imagine her taking any of Urza's armors and then enhancing them further by coating them in her water magic? Which would not only dampen the blows from the opponent, pun fully intended, but she'd also be capable of using the water magic to overwhelm her opponents while she's also trying to attack them with her sword. Well, I think I've just seen the devil. Firstly, the abilities that this fusion would possess would be terrifying. He would have Janemba's reality warping, matter manipulation, Incen regeneration, and the ability to dematerialize and rematerialize his body anywhere he chooses. That alone is a terrifying combination of powers. But now you're giving him access to all of Baby's powers. The ability to easily control the entire population of Earth, as well as the fact that Baby is really intelligent, unlike Janemba, who is mostly just pure chaos without much of a brain. So with the combination of Janemba's destructive powers, Baby's ability to possess entire populations of planets effortlessly, along with Baby's intelligence, makes this fusion an absolute terror. The fusion of Cyclops and Flash. Now, I could see some bad things happening because of this fusion. Like if we say the I-beams are only light speed, if he tried to fire them while running forward, he would fire, and then as he's running, they just come back and shoot himself in the face. Or he'd have to run around, stop, fire his laser eyes, and then keep on running, which would leave him wide open. Or he could go with the easy solution, or he could go with the safer option and say that this fusion's I-beams are faster than he can run. And if that were the case, we're screwed. This is a pretty cool combo. Cyclops fused with Wolverine. And you're seeing that right. Those are superheated adamantium claws. And I thought Wolverine's claws normally were dangerous. Honestly, I believe this fusion would be bipolar. He'd have the feral animalistic attitude of Wolverine, plus he'd also have the calm and collected mind of Cyclops. This fusion would be pretty dangerous at close range and at long range. Close range, he could cut you to ribbons with his claws, and at long range, he could vaporize you with his I-beams. Surprisingly, it would actually be a pretty dangerous fusion. Despite the fact that Demon Slayer and the World of My Hero are relatively weak anime verses, that won't undermine the fact that this fusion would be a force to be reckoned with. You take Tanjiro's skill with his sword, and back that behind the strength and speed of Deku, and that alone would be a massive threat. Now, I'm about to mention massive spoilers for both the Demon Slayer and My Hero manga, so if you do not want to hear them, please leave. I don't want to spoil either show for you guys. Now that I've given you plenty of time to leave, you take Tanjiro's demon form along with all of its abilities, and stack that on top of all the other quirks Deku's unlocked. This fusion would have some insane versatility. Not to mention, Demon Tanjiro has a healing factor, so even if they went over the limit of what they could control with One For All, where it would break their limb, the healing factor would simply undo the damage, and they could theoretically use 100% of One For All, making them far more deadly. Surprisingly, this is an actual thing. From a video game, people don't really remember that much. Dragon Ball Fusions on the DS. Firstly, he would have the uncontrollable mentality of Kid Buu, on top of Janemba's insanity. Because remember, Janemba is literally the embodiment of all the evil energy of every person in hell. But that's not where the craziness ends. Firstly, his healing factor would be insane, because it's the combination of Buu's healing factor stacked on top of Janemba's healing factor, as well as Janemba's reality warping and matter manipulating capabilities. Plus, when you factor in Janemba and Buu's stretchy limbs, with Janemba's deadly swordsmanship, you'd be better off just straight up fighting the devil. This is a pretty unique fusion. Kakashi fused with Cyclops. That means his eyes can do multiple things. He could either use all the abilities of the Sharingans, or he could just straight up shoot you in the face with his I-beams. Not to mention the combined intellect of these two characters, as well as all the other jutsus and abilities Kakashi has, plus his incredible hand-to-hand combat skills. To sum things up, he'd be a pretty well-rounded fighter. Okay, I know what you guys are thinking. The combination of Broly and Venom is a terrifying thought. But despite how powerful you might think this is, it is 100 times worse. Firstly, due to the healing factor of a symbiote, combined with the ability of Saiyans to get Zenkai boosts, along with the fact that Broly already grows at such a rapid pace, and not only close the gap to base Vegeta, but force Goku and Vegeta to fuse just to even take him on. That rapid growth in power, along with consecutive Zenkai boosts, plus technically endless stamina thanks to Venom, a Broly-Venom combination would be damn near unstoppable. The only way you're getting rid of this guy is if you call up Zeno. Because due to the rapid increase of power from Broly's potential, along with all the Zenkai boosts he'd get from constantly being destroyed by stronger opponents, until he eventually did adapt to their level, Zeno would have to be called in just to be able to erase this thing. The fusion of Luffy and GT Goku. Firstly, he'd be able to amplify his strength with the 4 Super Saiyan forms, as well as increase his power even further with all of Luffy's gear states. Plus, when you pack that much of a hit, and could strike and move your body in unpredictable ways like Luffy can, it will be difficult to even defend yourself from this kind of fighter. Plus, I think it's common knowledge that although Luffy is really smart when it comes to combat, his regular intelligence isn't really there. That's where GT Goku would make up for that. Unlike the other iterations of Goku, GT Goku is comparable to Piccolo when it comes to tactical skills. He doesn't simply rely on his transformations to win a fight. He also constantly incorporates his skills and techniques from the past to get him his victories in combat. This is easily the strangest fusion I've ever talked about. Frieza combined with Wolverine. Frieza is ridiculously resilient, because even though he was revived before he started his training in Resurrection F, he was technically still alive, even after he was chopped to tiny little chunks by future Trunks. Plus, Frieza took a beating for over an hour from Broly, so you'd be giving him an insane durability increase due to the adamantium bones he would have, plus possessing Wolverine's incredible healing factor. Plus, you have Frieza's level of strength back behind the swing of those adamantium claws. I doubt even Android 17's ki barrier could withstand a single slash from those claws. Pretty much your only option to defend against it is to just dodge. Plus, due to Wolverine's healing factor, Frieza could pretty much fight for days on end without even getting tired, which would cause some serious problems for Goku and Vegeta. Okay, this artwork looks incredible. Firstly, this fusion will possess the combined skill of Asta and Zoro, as well as being able to use armament haki, observation haki, and anti-magic. Plus, they could further enhance their power with Asta's devil forms, and if they use Zoro's Ashura mode, I believe that's what it's called, not only would he be able to use all of Zoro's swords, but he'd also be able to use every single one of Asta's swords, all at the same time. Plus, something unique to the fusion itself, just like how in Dragon Ball fusions have techniques exclusive to them, this fusion would be able to use anti-magic to be able to actually do damage to Logia Devil Fruit users. Just like how anti-magic can cancel out magic, this fusion will be able to cancel out the abilities of Devil Fruits, and be extremely effective against Logia types, allowing him to hit them with zero resistance. Well, I already talked about Deku and Naruto, so I might as well talk about fusing their rivals together. The fusion of Bakugo and Sasuke would be an insanely powerful mid to long range fighter, not only having insane firepower due to Bakugo's quirk, but as you see in this artwork, he will be able to use the Chidori in a mutated way to where it launches out similar to Bakugo's flames. Basically, a lightning bomb. Not to mention he'd also have his Rinnegan and Sharingan, meaning that even if you avoid his incredible firepower, he could trap you in a genjutsu to get you to hold still before he decides to blast you to bits. Not to mention he'd be able to implement Bakugo's explosions to increase the impact of his physical attacks, which would be devastating due to Sasuke's incredible physical prowess. And if he were to use his Susanoo, if we implemented Bakugo's quirk into that, he'd basically be able to fire nukes at the same speed Bakugo could fire his explosions. This is a pretty strange combo, but I can work with this. Not only would Frieza's strength be added to Magneto in this fusion, but I also believe the strength of Frieza would also amplify Magneto's mutant ability. So much so that I think he could manipulate anything magnetic on a universal scale. Not only would that work on organic metals, but it would also allow him to manipulate electromagnetic fields on a universal scale. I genuinely think that's more terrifying than the strength increase he would have. Remember, before Frieza trained, his first form could generate an attack strong enough to blow up a planet effortlessly. And due to all the training he's had, he is on par with Goku's God forms. Meaning, arguably, you could say Golden Frieza at his maximum is near the level of the average God of Destruction. Definitely nowhere near the level of Beerus, but likely around the level of some of the weaker destroyers.